Okay, Nick, we need to talk like just right at the top of the show. Did anyone catch the XD challenge that just happened? Nick, that was amazing, right?
We were like, oh, someone's on before us. What? Let's take a quick look. That outro or whatever you want to call
Yeah,
it
he was like in a
with the car
spaceship, and then there was like a car, and he had sunglasses. Man,
and then he like the window went up and he was like, bye.
yeah, like here's the deal. We work hard on the production of this, but like I think that we need to give up now. Like that production was so awesome. Fantastic job. Brandon Grace was happening right before this. Great. Yes, Grace. So
That
if you
was
missed the XD challenge,
fantastic.
go watch it. It was way cooler than this. But today is a good episode. Nick, what are you talking about?
The probably our most important one of this time. It's all about resumes. It's all about standing out. Man, we got such good response from this one. Thank you all for just being willing to share your resume where it's at. This is a perfect day to do it, right?
Yes, and a ton of people submitted things to our Discord, which is super important and super cool. We'll tell you how to get involved in that once we get into our lesson. But if you have a creative problem that you want us to solve, you can go right down here, bit.ly/OH rescue, and submit your creative problem for us to cover. Which, Nick, can you give an overview like of just the show? I see a lot of new names in chat today. So if you can give kind of an idea about what the show is, kind of just an overview, and then we can hop in.
Where are we at now? So
so this season is Adobe Office Hours to the rescue.
Yes, exactly. So this season, the show in general, we're just two friends here every Friday to help you guys out with anything that you need when it comes to kind of bettering your career, bettering your creativity. This season in particular is all about to the rescue. So we are solving issues and dilemmas that you might be having in your day-to-day. And this is episode 5, I believe, of our new series.
It is. And we are taking your suggestions so you guys can submit them. And yes, actually here, let's pull this up real quick. I just saw a comment in chat that is very important. If you guys want to, you can hop on over into our Discord right down here, bit.ly/OH hangout. And there's a voice channel right here in Classroom Chat. We have a new channel, Nick. It's dedicated just to the show. So you can go to Classroom Chat and hang out. There's a voice chat. It's where people are talking about the show. You guys can like make snide remarks. You can do like Rocky Horror callbacks as we make jokes. Go hang out over here, and there'll be a voice chat. We're going to be testing next week, bringing that voice chat live on the air. So that will be really fun. So get in a Discord, get accustomed to it, try a little bit, and go hang out. It's super fun.
That's going to be great. I can't wait for that.
Will be. I'm very excited. Speaking of, also chat here, let's do a vote chat. We have music vibes. If we want to turn them on, let me know if you want music vibes today, or if you just want our sweet sultry voices. You guys get to pick. So let me know in chat. Nick, something very special before we hop in. We want to talk about next week. What are we doing next week?
It will be the Office Hours year anniversary spectacular.
Yes.
We're going to have cars and just like all that crazy graphics we just saw.
Yes.
But it is our year anniversary, guys. That's pretty amazing.
Yes. We've been doing this for exactly 1 year, which is crazy. I don't think we have 52 episodes yet, but it's close to 50 probably because we only take a couple weeks off.
You're right. I think there's only been a few breaks.
Yeah. So we're doing our 1 year anniversary, which means we're going to have prizes. We're going to have games. We are going to have some of our favorite moments, some of our best advice, and maybe some advice from friends in the industry. So if you all have any special moments that you remember from Office Hours over the last year, drop them into our Discord and let us know what some of your favorite moments were. We'll reminisce and have a grand old time, play some games. We'll have a spinny wheel with prizes on it. I don't know what we're going to do with it yet, but I got really excited about getting a spinny wheel. So we're going to have that.
Were like, a wheel that spins.
Yes.
That will be perfect for our episode.
Exactly.
Let's do
it felt right. All right. You voted for Music Vibes, so they'll be coming on. Let me know on your levels when it happens. All right, Nick. That is, I think, all of our...
Did we get everything taken care of?
Announcements.
All the upfronts?
I think so. Yep. Do we have anything else? I don't think so.
We got our Discord. We got our anniversary. We've got homework stuff, everything.
That's true. Yes. Yeah. So like a tiny preview that's not an announcement. Talks are starting to happen for the next season of Office Hours. So just if you guys have any,
have any ideas,
let us know in Discord. and I will probably take them into consideration, but mostly ignore them because we all know where I want to go in the next season. So we'll talk about that later, but just know that conversations are happening, and I'm very excited about it. All right, Nick, I think that it's time to
I'm hearing something.
Are you hearing?
I'm hearing. Wait,
I'm never gonna get tired of this. Oh,
hearing something.
It's a call from a viewer here on Office Hours to the Rescue Live.
Hey Nick and Andrew, I'm Davis Keeter from Arizona State University. Apart from being the Adobe brand ambassador, I'm also involved in Sigma Tau Gamma Fraternity, 942 crew, among other things. My hurdle this year has been resumes and applying to jobs. I guess what I wanted to know is how can I better make my resume to stand out from other resumes in the crowd? How can I make sure that I get that interview?
All right, so our question from our friend Davis, Arizona State University, is asking about resumes, how to stand out, how to make a good resume, how to get noticed, how to communicate well, and we have a ton of advice for you. Also, during that bit, Nick, I thought about this. At the end of this season, we should do some kind of fun giveaway and give away our emergency phones. Right?
You too.
How fun is that?
Because I think it's kind of like one of those things before it goes to the Smithsonian.
Yes.
Maybe someone should have it for a while.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
I think that's
we'll
a
sign
great
them
idea.
and
Let's do that.
we'll do some kind of giveaway. All right.
I love that idea.
Let's go ahead and is Davis here in chat? Yeah, Davis, if you're here, say hi. Pop up and let us know that you're here.
Chime in.
Oh, we already missed it. We're not going to do the bumper this week. We'll bring it back next week. Here's the thing. There's so many bits. We just forget them, and that's how it goes. Let's go ahead and just hop in.
We got information like crazy today. So
we do have a million things today. Yes. So let's go ahead and hop in. Nick, we need to start this episode with a disclaimer.
We do. And because we know you guys are probably all in the exact same boat that Davis is. I had probably more people email or text about this episode than any other episode because everyone is in resume season.
Yes.
So we were both doing a little bit of our research and the tips and the things that we know we want to say, but we felt it was kind of important to put this little disclaimer up front. These are our best tips that we've seen from ourselves, from friends, from colleagues, from people all over. But don't forget that this still requires you to do a little personal research on what's best for you, what's best for the job that you're applying for. All this stuff we were looking at, and it's conflicting advice everywhere. I mean, It's just crazy. Down to the point where I was even seeing stuff from some of the biggest names out there saying it should just be a Word document with no columns, no pictures, no graphics. All of this AI stuff that is the first thing that reads your resume is truly going to kick out anything else. But our disclaimer is let's at least try for that in-person one. Maybe it's a smaller company that doesn't use those things. Not everyone uses those, right?
Yep.
So there's still some stuff here to do. And we want to make sure that we're thinking of you, the entry-level graphic designer for this position.
Yes. And today is probably, like Nick said, one of our most chaotic episodes of like, we have advice, but like maybe ignore it. So we're just going to give you our thoughts and hopefully they are good for you and helpful for you guys as we get in. So Nick, let's go ahead and hop in. Let's talk first about communicating.
Here's the first thing someone told us we went to a really great HR kind of recruitment firm seminar many years ago. And the first thing they said, particularly for you guys, you are graphic designers, you do layout design, this is your cup of tea. Don't forget that your resume is still a communications tool. It's a communications piece. The whole important part on there is the actual content first, and then how you design it is secondary. So the whole thing here is be as just picky as you would if you were doing a layout and an editorial thing for a fancy magazine or for an online service or something. Think of it that way first. This is not your chance to throw out your art and your design. That's what your portfolio is for, right?
Yes.
What do you think?
I agree. And I think I talk about this a little bit later in some extra slides that like, this isn't the time to be flashy. It's just like, cool. This is like the best memo you've ever made. Like that's really all it needs to be. Is it's not like a project. It's like a piece of paper that needs to just communicate well.
Yeah, perfect.
Continuing on keywords.
And this is another key thing. You have the ability you should not have just one resume, one cover letter. What you want to do is have a master and keep doing a save as for each job that you are sending out for. Because here's what you do. You want to look at that post and you want to look at the top keywords that are in there. If they are asking for social media marketing and quick on the fly photo retouching or whatever it is, you get those keywords and you put them into that resume and you put them into that cover letter. That if it is run through some kind of a AI, that will pull those names and those words and those keywords out fast. So you can be a better possible match. So tailor each one of that to the particular job that you're going for. Yes. I know it's a headache, right? It sounds like a lot, but everyone's just like Davis, so frustrated with not getting a call back or any kind of thing. So how else can you increase your odds? You know what I mean? This is just a great tip.
Yeah, and I think that this is like probably not the way to do it, but is probably a way to do it. If you know that you're submitting to something that's going to have like a robot form or whatever, like scanning through it, okay, this is my hot take. Maybe do this, maybe don't. Put a block of keywords at the bottom in white. Make it so that it's not visible, but it will read those as keywords. It's totally like almost cheating and maybe a bad idea, but unless they're going to look deeply, they aren't going to notice it, and then it will still read as those keywords being in there. So
correct. I love what Mimi said. She says Word docs are strictly given love to all of those ATS bots. For all human interaction, have this one that's best designed. Okay, so like if this means having two, I know it sounds like a little bit more, but you guys just be organized with this stuff. You know, I remember like saving it as and calling it the name of that company or something to make me remember and look and go like, oh, that one's all about, that was heavy on packaging. So let me pull that one up again and I can redo that one and have some, at least it's a little easier, right? And you just drop in some keywords. That's great.
Yes. All right. Continuing on, Nick, what do we got next?
All right. So quantifying all of your information. Here's the most specific thing that I want you guys to think about. It's not about saying I redesigned brochures at a place. You want to say I successfully redesigned brochures that increased sales, maybe 10%, 15%, something like that. Now, I know it might be hard for younger designers that don't have anything to quantify, let's say results or data or change that your designs did, but you can use quotes, you can use testimonials, you can use things that show maybe did you ease the process a little bit when you put in something into play? Did you come up with a new process that streamlined, only 2 people touch something instead of like 8? So add a specific data, more importantly, the results. Where else did we hear this? It's always about like your case studies, right? Remember at the end, we were like, have some results, have something in there. Did you move the needle with something? And tell us that. So make it an experience achievement oriented resume.
Yes.
Do you have an example of like, can you think of something that maybe in a past anything, job, project, whatever, you push the needle?
Yeah. So I always try to quantify, like you said, of having something that doesn't talk about, so because I think if you talk about what you did, and we see a lot of students do this, that they're just like, I did this thing, right? To me, that's like giving the employer an option to just be like, cool story, like the end. But if you
everybody else does that,
exactly. If you make it something to where, I worked on a project that's like, cool, I did this rebrand, which increased attendance by 500 people over 6 months.
There you go.
And lowered printing budgets by $600 a month. Like, if you can quantify that, it's really, it shows that extra level of like, not only are they a good designer, they are thinking and understanding how to make that company better. And that's very enticing to future employers, I think.
Yeah, don't forget the person that you are trying to impress wants to understand how you're going to change the bottom line, not how you're going to bring better design to the company.
Yes.
It sucks hearing that, but that's kind of the way to think about it. So what did you do to push the needle, and show that off? Make sure that's in your brief little bulleted text for each job entry.
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
We're talking about robots. What does Elon Musk have to say about this one?
Exactly, right. So we talked about this earlier. I think the best thing to do is if it does ask you to upload something, maybe look and see if there's any fine print. Sometimes I was looking at a few of the job applications that I know some of my students are going after this year, and they did show put in preferred Word document, Word DOC or whatever. So sometimes the fancy formatting, all the extra columns, won't be that readable by the scanning system. So your best bet is to do that. One tip I heard from a recruiter is take the more well-designed one and maybe send that to find the recruiter or the HR person on LinkedIn and send them that as a hard, like an attachment through an email.
Stalking
that might
people,
be a great way to.
Yeah, stalking people that like are going to see it is so easy to like get a hold of. You're like, okay, well, it'll eventually go to this person. Let's just send it directly to them. Like, just spend some time stalking them, and it's pretty easy to find them to get direct contact.
Yeah, I love. All right, yeah, Francesco, we're gonna make that happen. Elon Musk, guest speaker in class.
Oh yeah, easy.
That's the goal.
Easy. Flex that Adobe influence.
I bet he'd do it if we had a connection. I bet he'd do it.
Yeah, I wonder if we could get the Adobe Sensei. Like
Oh.
Like if we could get the AI, that would be my favorite. Just a full Sensei episode.
And all its comments are like in like the DOS like green green text on black.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I love this. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Next up,
what do we got, Nick?
We mentioned this as well. Never use the one size fits all. You can increase your chances of landing that interview by building more customized versions for whatever that target role is. So it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Do you make a new version of this one and change it up slightly to customize to that particular one? 100% absolutely yes. Okay.
Yep.
So don't just do one and send that out all the time. Customize it, save as, make yourself a library of these things. Hopefully much better of a chance there.
Yep. And again, this is the other side of that we talked about portfolios, that it's either the response of, oh, I can be whatever you want me to be, or here's exactly who I am. You can kind of take either side of that, of like adapt and be like, oh, okay, they want this or kind of this vibe. Let's go more to that. Or saying, hey, here's exactly who I am, how I communicate, what I look like, take it or leave it kind of thing. And so there are the two sides to that. Like we've looked at portfolios, that I think if you're coming in with a resume that they're looking for exactly you, be like, cool, this is me. I would not try to change that. But if it feels like they're looking for something that you're like, okay, I'm gonna have to adapt to that, like change and shift and make sure that you're adapting exactly to that.
Oh my gosh, it's so great. So let's go into some resume don'ts. And this is from multiple sources. So these are those things that I won't even ask why. Just let's listen to them, right? These are the experts. They're really saying don't include any irrelevant hobbies or interests. What that looks like to them is filler. It looks like you're trying to fill up space because you don't have enough stuff there.
Yeah.
Work with a professor, work with an advisor, work with a mentor, and finding ways to fill more stuff into your resume than doing something like that.
Yeah, it's like extracurriculars for like college. Like it matters it matters for like one admissions person looking at it for like 30 seconds and then like it never matters again.
The worst possible thing you could do is I'm 50% sailing, 20% bowling.
We'll get there, Nick. We'll get there.
One day we'll see it. We'll see a resume like that for sure. Okay, next up, you don't want to include any negative things. And by negative, it could be like maybe a challenge that popped up where you throw something in your summary that talks about that. This is not the time to have it in there. You want to keep it all positive, all 100% engaged and ready to apply to this job. Number one big thing, and you know, I'm the biggest culprit of this because I have zero patience. I type super fast. The grammar and the spell check. Find ways to have that in your application, Grammarly, all these great things, spell check in every application you're using. But the best thing to do, put it with somebody else's eyes, have somebody else read this, hard copy. That's the most important part. I think digitally, we scan a lot faster. So make sure you are sending that and making sure you're getting rid of all of those grammar and errors and stuff like
and
that.
Turn on auto spell check in Illustrator. Not a lot of people know that it's there. You can turn on auto spell check and it will just red underline everything that's wrong. You don't even have to run it. It just like stays there. Also,
quick question. I saw Laura was saying resume template or custom resume design. I don't think it's either or one or the other.
Yeah.
I think again, it's almost like we'll show you examples. So I'm glad you asked that because we're going to be showing you guys a lot of things and we're going to want your opinion on which works best.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think it. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it matters on either as long as it communicates well. And then something you said on the don't write negative things. The other word to just like avoid altogether is just. if you're saying like, oh, I just did this, or like, oh, this was just whatever, like just take the word just out of your resume entirely, because it diminishes the value of what you're doing. Even if you're trying to sell it, like having just in there just makes it worse every time. Like there's no
basically
in there. Yes, or basically. Oh my
that's
gosh,
my
basically, yes.
that is my go-to.
Yes.
All right, what do you got, man?
Cool. So mine are much more sassy. I don't know why my points are always like more sassy in the titles. But here's the thing. We talked about this a little bit earlier. It's not an infographic. Like this isn't something for you to flex your design skills and be like, oh, look at how cool this looks. There was like a time in the mid 2000s that this was like a thing. That it's like, oh, we're doing charts and graphs and like cool things and trying to like turn the infographic.
Floating triangles with speckles on them.
Yes, and it's like 3Ds and shadows and like whatever.
Just look at Taco Bell graphics from like 1990.
Exactly that, yes.
Every resume looked just like that.
Yes, not a place to showcase your design skills, just a place, layout, communication, period, done. That's all you need.
Totally.
And then here's the thing that you guys have heard me say a million times, pitch it like you stole it. Not only do you need to have a great resume, you need to be able to present that resume if the opportunity calls for itself, right? If you don't land the interview, but they're like, oh, hey, we want to hear more about what you did. We kind of want to hear more about you, right? That it's not like a full interview for the job. They're just trying to kind of vet people. You need to be ready to pitch your resume as if it was a project. And I was being like, okay, cool. Let's walk through this resume to really dive into, cool. So I got to work on this project and almost have paragraphs built around whatever your points are so that you're touching those points, but you're not just reading the resume back to them because that sucks.
Yeah, that's great.
And likewise, you need to have basically a pitch email to go along with your resume. And so just make a standard form email that is selling you and selling your resume so that they're interested by the time they open that in the email or the submission or whatever. They've already got some kind of intro to like, oh man, I really want to look at this resume. It sounds like they're super interesting. They're well accomplished. They know what they're doing. Have something to accompany that resume, I think is really important.
Love it. Yeah, totally cool.
Cocky versus confident. This is one that I have hot takes on. I'm fully fine with people being cocky if it's good. Like if you feel like you can be cocky, just do it and own it. But also you do need to be confident in the work that you have. And so include the awards and accolades, but not too much, right? Be careful that there's like a level of too cocky and then there's a level of just cocky enough. And so if you have awards and accolades and big things that you've done, include some of those, just flex on them a little bit to be like, hey, I'm really good. And then make sure you only establish as much credibility as you need. I think that there's a level where you establish too much credibility and it's like either, oh, they're way overqualified or like they just are a jerk that wants to talk about all the great stuff they did. Just hit it of like, cool, this is the credibility that I need. There's more stuff, but like, we're just going to chill on that. We're going to hit the top levels and then we're good to go.
I'm a big fan of that. If you look at just the cocky versus confident thing in just general, I totally get what you're saying too. But when it comes to here, there is a good reason to pull back a little bit and show just enough that makes you feel like, okay, relevant, good for this. Leave it at that.
Yes. Question from Mimi.
Perfect.
One accomplishment was keeping clients from bailing. Is it okay to say mitigated potential loss of client and reined in severe slippage by reprioritizing? So basically, talking about that you saved a client relationship kind of thing.
Yeah. Keeps the client. It is okay to save my group. I think so too. Or client retention.
I was going to say
satisfaction.
Yeah.
Maybe turn some of those into better words and keep the negative stuff out.
Yes.
I think might be a great way to do it.
Yep. Yeah. If you can flip it to be a positive, that it's like increased client retention, then like that. Don't talk about like, oh, someone was trying to leave and we saved them. Just talk about like,
leaving?
I increased the client potential, like because the potential was someone leaving. Just take a positive spin on it. Yeah.
Perfect.
And then here's the thing. And I know that we have a lot of students, a lot of people that are kind of beginning career, kind of just making their resumes right now. There's a point in design school where they have you do your resume as like a project. Like that's not a thing. Like that just doesn't exist in the real world. And so I've seen so many that like it's included in their portfolio or it's something that looks like it's like so designed. It's not a design exercise, not a school project. It's just a professional thing. It needs to be like kind of boring. Like that's totally fine.
And so you're that's a good thing to think of before even making one, because you're right, they put them into, we do it in classes, we do that, and that's just to have something while they graduate. But again, it's an ever evolving document, the same way your portfolio is.
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
This is the one. I'm not even like put the explanation. Just don't have charts. Just never. We will never have a season of this show. There's no threats here. I mean, I just see it saying no charts. I don't know what's going on here.
Not at all. Don't read between the lines.
Yeah, there will never be a season of this show that we don't bring up this topic. Like at some point in every season, we'll tell you not to put charts on your resume. Just period. No charts, no circles, nothing. Yes.
Let's get on to some samples.
Let's look at some samples. Do you want to take these through us?
Woo.
Take us through these, Nick. Oh my gosh.
I think some visuals will help you guys understand, and then we're going to take a look at some of the ones that you guys sent in as well. But here's a perfect example of just what feels more inviting to read. And we're going to look at Davis's in a second too, right? Because I think David's has jam-packed a lot onto one page. This shows you can, with proper spacing and better typography, the Jihoon one here has shown that it's very easy to read, very inviting. I love the cool color, just added as a pop. I'd remember this even without like reading through it.
Yep.
But which one would you want to go and look at and actually invite to read if these were both sitting on the desk, right? So be very careful about how much information is jam-packed on there.
Yes.
I thought I'd never have to say that to like a young designer, because usually it's the opposite. They have very little and they're filling it with all the graphics and stuff. So great example of just showing, make sure, remember our keyword about putting the welcome mat out. This is what this example is showing off perfectly.
Yeah, and I think that I would rather see like not even a full page if it's like, here's me communicating well. Like, I think that there's a pressure to fill the whole page. And if you like don't need to, just don't. Like it's not a requirement to fill the whole page. And I think that something overall to keep in mind is I think that resumes are like 85% typography. Like you need to just have really, really good type hierarchy and maybe an interesting font in there somewhere. But I think it's 85. Yeah, because it's like it's a bunch of information. But if you can get good type pairings, if you can get something that communicates in maybe a different voice, it's all about the type.
Yeah. And I see what you're saying, Elizabeth. Like you like that one on the left, but you like that color too. It's not just that, but I think having a bit of too much color and the 3 bars, and then there's no space around Hannah's name. Yep. So again, like look at the one on the left, there's breathing room, and
look at the leading.
We will catch that.
Yeah.
We will catch that so much better, right? Yes, leading. Oh my God, that alone makes this one win.
Yep.
Okay, so
I'd say rule of
TKO.
Thumb. Yeah, rule of thumb. Your leading on like any resume should be at least 8 points more than whatever the font is. So like the one on the right probably is like 12-point font with 14-point leading. Like take that leading up to 20. Yeah, like literally give it all of the breathing room.
There you go.
All right, continuing on. Formatting. Let's talk about it.
The formatting. I feel like when we look at this, okay, this is a great way to show columns can still work. The one on the right definitely works to me better because you've just got 2 and there's like one's a 1, it's kind of the thirds property going there. You got like 1/3 and the other one's like 2/3. Now, if you look at the one on the left, we've almost incorporated 4 columns. You've got those 2 in the skills on the left, then you got all the dates, and then you've got all the education. When you make your paragraph not wide enough, now you have these short columns, you have the problem of hyphenation, the flow is not there when you want to read it. So when you look at the one on the right again, I think to me that one has the more cleaner, refreshing, again, inviting look. What do you think?
You like the one on the right more?
Yes, I do.
Oh, for me it's the one on the left. Except I absolutely hate the like little like grid crap that's going on at the top and bottom.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That's stupid. I hate it.
I would even like, it's not even worth commenting on. Yeah.
We don't need extra stuff. But what I like about the left one, and I think that this could be like a good guide for either of these, and really in general, is like it feels almost like an events or about page on a website. And I think that like there's a part of the resume that like with the type hierarchy and the layout, you kind of want to hit that zone to where it's like it kind of looks like a printed like web page. And I think that the type on the left one is too small. I think there's probably too much content on the left one, but there's something about it that feels refined. But for interaction design, I do think the right one's better. Like the right one feels more interaction design, UI, UX. The left one feels more like high-end agency. And so that's kind of what we talked about, that like catering to whoever. If this is the same person, I wouldn't send the right one to a branding agency, but I would send the left one to a branding agency.
Yeah, exactly. So I think in a certain way, with that quick kind of look at it, to me, I would totally agree. My biggest complaint with the left is that short column. Like, to me, I think it just runs into problem. They have to go to a smaller font. And then again, it doesn't fit those requirements. Then on the right too, I see Google, Georgia Tech, Design for Use. I see the names I need to see very quickly too. Because again, you have 5 seconds. And I have a feeling the other one, nothing's standing out to me as far as hierarchy, including the name. It's very small.
Yeah.
So,
and it's,
see, this is a perfect example, guys. There's no right or wrong. We're going to look at this and break it apart for different reasons. Right?
And it's super small on y'all's screen. But if you can't see, and again, that's why it's bad. The one on the left has like the client, but then has like the place that the client is. Like, I don't care. Don't put stupid stuff that's just space filler on there. So, I feel so bad if someone's going to watch this and they're like, that's my portfolio. But like, if it's something that you're just putting on there to fill space, like look at it or give it to someone and ask them like, hey, do you care about all of this info? And if there's something they're like, I don't care that they're in Pennsylvania, then just kill it. There
you go. Perfect.
All
we
right,
got one last one to show you guys. Just want to talk about personality too. So as designers, I feel like we might have just a slight leg up on the advantage of putting a taste of personality into our resume. And I really love this one on the left too, because not only does it have that third column kind of vibe and structure here in thirds, but just that beautiful little signature to me just kind of has a nice little extra touch with that touch of color. And then when you compare it to the one on the right, it has zero personality. It feels like one page in the middle of a brochure, and I've missed out on the table of contents and everything else, right?
Yep.
Like, that's where I think we can definitely add that. Again, floating space, everything has breathing room. Just make sure you're not cramming things. To me, that has such a more successful vibe for me.
Yep, I agree. And here's the thing.
Cool.
It like the one on the right could be fine, but if you're gonna sell me on like UX design, like you need to hit me with UX design. Seeing things like the line heights aren't matching or lining up. Like just little, like even the spacing on some of these is inconsistent in between. Like if you're gonna sell UX designer and it's like, oh, this is clean UX kind of resume, that's fine. You don't have to inject a lot of personality into that. We love UX designers. I don't know if they're known for exuberant personality showing their work. A lot of times it's like, cool, this is systems. This is some kind of like ecosystem to work within. So if you're going to do that, just do it. But on the left,
if the name just got a little punched up on the right, we'd have a whole new talking point there. So
yes, exactly.
Again,
why am I so spicy today? My goodness.
This is the best day to be spicy, dude.
It's true. I like it.
It's resume day.
I like it. Well, with that, we're going to go into reviews of your resume.
Yes.
Ooh, on the spiciness.
Just when the spicy got going, this is going to be perfect.
And let's go ahead and
start.
Let's go ahead and start out with my favorite one that we can look at today. And Nick, that's yours. Let's look at Nick's resume here.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Also, yours like fits perfectly into our like presentation box, which is just gorgeous.
Even better.
Good work.
I love it.
So looking at your resume, Nick, kind of walk us through, tell us a little bit about this.
It's a 3-pager, and I know I'm making a 1-page consolidated version of it, but in most cases, when I've had to do something like this, my resume is for a whole other reason. So in most cases, it's to qualify for my school education and for my teaching credentials. Every year, you have to submit something of this form. So it got me to do this, which was really, really, it's very beneficial when you're forced to do something, because we'll look at yours after this, right?
So here's the hot take. Here's the hot take that I think is interesting. And Nick and I had a conversation about this before the show that I think we can continue now on the show. I don't have a resume. I haven't made a resume. I have one from when I graduated design school, but I worked in-house. I went to an agency and then worked in-house for 8 years. And then from there started my own agency, and then have been full-time freelance for the last 2 years. And so I haven't needed a resume, and so I don't have one. Yes, I'm giving you a bunch of advice, not practicing what I preach. I just don't have one. But I think like maybe if you don't need one, you don't need to like force yourself to make one. It's probably a good idea to have one.
You just like I told you, the only reason it's that comprehensive was there was something about a year ago that came up that could have been quite an opportunity, and to be prepared for it, I thought, let's take it to that level. So to me, I want to make sure it's like all of my entries will say what I did and what it did for the company. And again, going back to that, Quantify, that is truly like the number one thing we should all be striving for in there. So again, that's why it gets to be a little bit long, but I'm trying to make a 1-page version of it just to have as a quick, they're even called 1-pagers now because some of these ones have gotten so crazily big. So there we go.
Yes. And Lisa, yes, I'm waiting for the existential irony of the point when someone asked me for it and I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go ahead and spend a ton of time making one. I'm glad that I have a full episode of Office Hours to the rescue to bring me to the rescue.
Yes, there you go.
I am still waiting for the episode that we take on one of our problems and we're just like, hey, Nick, I'm on this thing and it's not working. Can you save me, please?
Let's do it.
That should be our last episode.
Someone said too, LinkedIn has become kind of the, the virtual alternative to the resume, particularly the way you fill it out, it becomes your resume in some way. I think another thing we should talk about is those should be linked. So make sure your resume and your LinkedIn pages are somewhat, together. There's some you're pulling from the same content.
Yep. So we're going to move over to some more industry professionals. You guys know we have a lot of friends and we love our friends. And so I want to show one from my friend, Ben Stafford. He's an incredible designer, illustrator, does a lot of cool collage work. But Ben has been recently updating his resume, and it looks like so. And this is kind of an example of what we've talked about. Like if you look at Ben's work, it's super colorful, super bright, like really intense illustration. And then you look at his resume and it's like, boom, here's text with the things that I've done. This is kind of what we want, right? It's the most well organized memo you've ever seen.
Yes.
I think this is great. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I think he's using it for a particular reason. To me, this feels like the brief 1-page introduction to him and his history. If need be, he probably has something that has probably a bit more depth and a bit more of that stuff in there. I'm a big fan of creatives having things in those bullet points that say what it did. In addition to creative briefs, what did it do? So he might be doing a very stripped down version for this, which I think is wonderful to do. But I'm for our entry level friends, you guys got to get a little bit
more quantifying. Yep,
I think so.
But here's the way to do it, y'all. Here's the thing that Ben's doing great is excels in logos, illustration, branding, and icons. Those very easily could have been a chart that is Photoshop, Illustrator
with little icons.
And so he found a way to do and communicate those ideas without having that actual stuff. And Francesco says, can we include yearbook experience in the resume? Nick, what's your take on that?
I would assume if that was a high school thing, could be a little bit difficult to put in there. I do understand the relevance of it. So Francesco, you and I will work on a very clever way to get that into your resume.
Yes, I think it depends on what you did and what your role was. I had it in my resume graduating, but I was like design director of the yearbook. And it was one of those, like, we won the yearbook awards. And so I was like, cool, this needs to be in there because it has, again, just enough of that establishing credibility that's like, cool. Like I don't think like big agencies will care about yearbook experience, but if it establishes credibility with like, oh, he's like, it was like really good yearbook experience, then you need that. But if it's just like, oh yeah, I did yearbook stuff, I don't think that needs to be in there.
Same.
Question from Frida. Nick, if we have our own personal business selling art and whatnot, can we include that somehow? Yeah, sure.
100%. I think you put self-employed, you put, maybe you have it as a particular name. You can say owner and operator as your title for that thing.
Yep.
Yes, there's clever ways to have it in there that it follows your format and it doesn't look like some just side thing.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Loris is saying in the States, you don't include a photo. In Europe, they usually do. Yeah. I did a bunch of research on headshots on resumes, and pretty much everywhere I saw
CVs.
For here was like, no. And yeah, so I don't know. Like, if you want to do it and it helps like sell your personality, do it. I don't think it's the standard. But let's
know your territory.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go ahead and hop into Davis's while we still have time. So I'm going to put this up. There is some type that looks crazy on here. It's just because I blocked out personal information from people. Nick, what are your first reactions, thoughts on this?
Well, it looks like a memo from ASU.
Yes.
I love that you are super proud of your school and everything like that. And you're using their colors. No, this is about you, not about the school you went to.
Yep.
Okay. That's got to go. And I think that'll clear up a little bit of room because first off, I love that you got a lot here, Davis, and this is great for an entry level coming out of school. You have filled in a lot of good qualifying, good stuff here. You got to edit a little bit, man. We got to find a way to shrink this. I feel like maybe draw those margins in just a tad more and find a way to edit this down. It needs some breathing room.
Yes.
And your Davis R. Keeter at the top, we got to get you something that's, when you take the ASU out, you're going to need something that kind of resonates with them a little bit, and bolder font with a little bit of personality that matches you. It doesn't come off as a creative to me, first off. Andrew.
Yes, I agree. It doesn't, I don't think it sells the personality that I've seen on your site and some of your work as we kind of looked through. And so I agree, the type hierarchy could just have more voice to it. A little more personality. Right now it feels like a kind of basic sans serif. It does feel like a memo, but I think you could flip it up a little bit and kind of turn the volume up with some interesting type in there. Obviously you don't want to get too crazy with the content, but the headers, I think you can push to something a little more interesting. And then you do want your name to be the big thing. And I like that you have your LinkedIn on there, but also like include your website, include portfolio, anywhere that they can link to get to your work. We talked about the leading. Definitely you need to increase the leading by quite a bit. And there's not too much content. There's too much in each of the content, if that makes sense. So I think that the number of things that you have is like, okay, cool. Like you've explained it pretty well. You could probably take them down a little bit, but then in each of those points, like every point is really long. So try to condense some of those into the same points. The technology you used, I don't think that I need or care about on there. The social media accounts, I don't think that I need in there. I think just saying like, I'm coordinating in charge of all social media accounts, but then also maybe put in some metrics of like, you have something there. Yep. Grew Instagram by 1,000 followers in the first week alone. And then maybe put in there like, and continued growth through whatever, like have something that continues it on. Yeah. And I'd like to see, like, imagining you editing this down, I want to see like something more. So like we've looked at a lot where it has like the full side column and then a little bit on the left, like maybe just a little bit about you. What do you think about that, Nick?
Yeah.
Like some kind of little paragraph
the objective, a little bit of an objective or something that just says, hey, me, where I'm at, what I'm looking for, enjoy. Like to me, sometimes that might be just all it needs to make a little bit more personable. Yep. This doesn't feel personable to me.
Yes. And that's interesting what you just said, to have on a resume, to put something that isn't just like, here's about me, that it's saying like, hey, here's what I'm looking for. Like if this is not that, then just literally throw out my resume. But it's like, here's what I'm looking for. And it like almost puts it back on them. It's the power move of in the interview when they're like, do you have any questions? And you're like, yes. And you like pull out your sheet. Yeah. Like it's a total power move on the resume to be like, cool, I'm looking for a dynamic team that fosters creativity and values collaboration, right? And that's like, oh shoot, he's like passionate about these things. I think that would be great to put on some kind of side column. And then your colors, I think just like find a pop color. All the ones that we looked at that we thought were awesome, just single pop color. You can take the burgundy from the ASU. I wouldn't mind that. Like it's a fun little pop.
Yep. maybe lighten it just a bit so it's not so close to the black. Again, it should have a little bit of the pop there. But I think all those kind of things will definitely help you streamline and create something a little bit more inviting and ready to read.
Yep. I do like that it's down to a one sheet, but yeah, I think that it needs to kind of edit, refine, more breathing space, and just, I think more intentionality, I think is the overall. It feels like there's a lot that's kind of just packed in here. And so maybe a little more intentionality about, does this need to be here? Does this need to be in this place? Does this need to be in this font? Ask a bunch of questions as you revise it.
Perfect.
All right. So
let's get into some of our friends here.
With that, yes.
What do we do?
We have like a million. So like we said, our Discord
might need a part 2.
Right? Our Discord is thriving. And you guys can always check out Discord right over there we go. Hangout, bit.ly/OH Hangout. You can check out the Discord. We usually have homework over here that you can drop in. And a bunch of you last week dropped in your resumes, which I think you just dropped in the chat rescue. You did. So we're going to hop in, do some reviews of those. Nick, do you have a favorite that you want to hop into first?
I have not even looked at any of them yet, so
Love
this is
that.
First impressions.
So let's look at the people that are in chat. I know that Justin Roy is in chat, so let's get started with his and take a look. All
right,
let's
Justin.
put this up here, right there. All right, Nick, thoughts?
Let me find it here. Hold on for a second. There we go. Oh, it downloaded for me. There we go. Okay, Justin. Are you ready?
Also, yes,
I dig it.
If you have thoughts or clarifications and we're looking at yours, put them in chat.
Yeah. I would say, to me, the first thing is the blue highlight in your things is way too, that probably not needed. Maybe just change those fonts to that blue. To me, it feels like it's being crossed out.
I love it.
What do you?
I love it,
like
except,
it, yeah.
except for accessibility issues. And that's something we haven't talked about in general, is like, you want to make sure you're hitting accessibility. That blue and black is like way too close. Even if that is a brand color, like I would pop that like so hot with like, make the type like that blue and then do the cross through with like a yellow or something. I think it's an interesting, nice little pop of something extra. I even would take that.
It's just so close.
Yes.
To me, if this was Xeroxed, you're gone.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. The contrast is
gone.
Yeah, the contrast is gone. If you can bump that contrast, I think it would make it interesting to where it kind of would like glow out. And I think the little line that you have, the line weight of everything else on the page is a little bit heavier. So just take that. It looks like it's 1 point right now. Take it to like 2 or 3.
I was gonna say the leading for sure. You've got room because you've got room at the bottom and a little at the top. Open that up a little bit, and that indent I feel is far too much. That's going from where it says core creative and then graphic designer. I would just flush it left, and then it gives you more of a better clean margin on the right, and you'll probably have better line breaks too, because sometimes with the bigger words you don't want the hyphen. So give yourself that room and spread that out. Looks good. I think it could be confusing sometimes to have Creative Forge and Justin Roy together on your resume. I try not to, I don't go by Longo designs on my resume. I just go by Nick Longo. So like, again, this is you, the individual. If you're doing this, for a job hunt, Justin, it could be confusing. People just don't get us sometimes with those things, What do you think?
Yeah, I think he said in chat that he was going for a highlight kind of approach. Yeah, I think if you're going to do a highlight, they're too dark to just read as highlight, so just flip up the colors. I really like, I definitely think you need more leading, but I like the amount of content that you have on here. The biggest thing for me is the left side feels like the story gets too long for me. And so if you have a bunch of different things, figure out how to categorize them overall. So Adobe Creative Suite hits all those.
Yes.
Microsoft
Office.
Suite. Yep, exactly. Google
everything.
Drives. Yeah, whatever it is. Just like do the overalls, and that just makes them assume that you can know that you know those things. The skills, I maybe would move to like strengths or something, and then pare those down. I think there are too many of those because it kind of is like, hey, I'm good at a lot of things. But if you can pare those down to like broader categories, and then maybe it's, that it's a little more refined as a general than like super specific.
Sure. What do you think about having the secondary logos like Behance, Instagram, and everything on a resume?
Unless they're interactive, unless you're doing like interactive PDF, I wouldn't put them in there.
This is your brand, not theirs.
Yeah, and just have your tag on there. Yeah, but if you're doing an interactive PDF, which is actually an interesting take, maybe we need to do a part 2 of resumes because
we have to because we have so many more.
That's true, and we have like literally 3 minutes. It would be interesting to talk about interactive PDFs and do a little bit of hands-on coming out of InDesign on how to make these PDFs both readable and interactive so that you can link things in them, you can put in forms, you can put in signatures, all that kind of stuff.
Let's squeeze in one more. Let's
do it. Chat, let us know if you want a part 2 of this and if it would be fun to cover kind of interactive stuff. All right, let's do one more. Who else is in chat? Colby, I know, is in chat.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and look at Colby's right here.
All right.
Full screen mode.
So you guys got similar colors going on there, man. Look at that.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Let's pull that up right there. I freaking love the type that your name is. And I think that like that's kind of what we talked about with having personality, just with typography. Yep. Like the type that you have that name in gives me just enough like weird wonkiness to make you memorable and interesting.
Yeah. I'm going to say first off, the color block on the left could be a little much. A non-creative place might not dig that in the fact of it just being too heavy. If it's being printed out, that's a lot of ink.
Yep.
It's just being considered a little bit too. You do have a lot, and there's a lot of information there to be reversed out. So for me, I do a nice hairline line in the middle in your blue, separating those. So you got your nice column on the left there. And I like that you put references is a tough one. A lot of the research I looked at says that's customary. You will provide them. You don't put them on your resume. So I think if you got rid of those, you can space out objective and volunteering a little bit more. And then everything on the right, I would just make it one nice big column if it's doable. I think that's not inviting for me to read. I think that's too much and it's long columns.
Yeah, I think there's too many columns. The type is too condensed for me.
Yeah.
I would definitely go with a serif for like that much content in there. I think you can balance with sans serifs, but I think the amount of like descriptions you have needs to be a serif, and it's way too thin and condensed and small to be like accessible and readable, I think. A couple other things on mine. I don't think that I like maybe don't care about the volunteer. I would just put that in experience. Like I would just include it in there, especially because it's like director level kind of stuff. Just include it in your experience. I don't need that as like a separate thing. I do love that you have objective in there that says, hey, here's who I am. Here's what's going on. I, again, would love to see like what you're looking for in there as well, because it kind of just feels right for the way that your resume is created. I'd love to see the blue, like take it back to like 5% and then put that type in blue. So that way you're not like killing their printer with a block, but it's enough to have like a little bit of interest to keep the contrast if you're doing black and white, but just makes that kind of stand out a little bit without making it like boom. I definitely think 3 columns is too much. Taking it to 2 would be
and you got a big gap in your bullet between bullet and the beginning of the line, and I feel that loses, and then you have no leading in between your bullets. So the bullet has to have, after that line break, there's got to be a little bit of leading in between those 2 lines.
Yep.
But again, if you go to this 1 column, Kobe, I think you'll have no problem with that, because I'm looking through and I'm seeing big names in like the limitless solutions, and I'm not going to read those if it's in that column. So, I mean, when you get this to be a little bit bigger, you're going to get credit for all that stuff. I'm saluting you that you have all this great stuff. I want you to present it better.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Huh. I almost wonder.
How are we on time? Yeah. All right.
We have like a minute. I almost wonder. We're fine. I almost wonder if like having on your resume what like kind of work you want to do would be interesting, because I see that you have Limitless, you have the volunteer at New Day Ministries, you've got leadership. That maybe if you have like, oh, I'd like to go into nonprofit public service sector or something, like I have a passion for whatever, I think that could be interesting to match up values with the company that you're going for and to communicate that. I don't think it's for everyone, but I think Colby, for something like your resume, I think it could be cool to say like, hey, here are the values that are important to me and kind of what I want to go for.
I agree.
Awards are great. Proficiency, sure. Skills, sure. Yeah, I think if that's just one full column there, you're going to get way more out of it, and then just edit that content down a little bit.
Just remember too, guys, you want, when they have been finished with the 1 to 2 minutes they're looking at, there's something that they will remember about you. And I think if you start from that point, you'll fine tune and get this thing. Keep that just in mind as you revamp and redesign whatever you're doing to improve it. That's the number one thing. You want to be remembered.
Absolutely. All right. We are going to wrap up the show for today. Thanks for joining us, everyone. As always, you can hop over into our Discord right over here.
Look at everybody's PDFs are in there. Go take a look at them.
Oh yeah,
we're gonna follow up. We gotta follow up because we got way too many here, guys.
Yeah, so bit.ly/OH Hangout. You can go jump in there. We usually do a hangout after the show in classroom chat. I think, Nick, are you going to hop in there for a minute after?
I'll try to pop in for a
second.
Cool.
Nick will hop in. Sure. I have to peace out right after this show, but usually we'll hang out in there and let us know what you want to see for next week for our 1-year anniversary. We're going to be playing some games, having some fun, but if you have any memorable moments from the last year, go ahead and either drop them in the To The Rescue channel in Discord, talk about them in the classroom chat over there with Elizabeth. Hopefully, Elizabeth, you can take some note of those. Let us know your favorite moments. We'll cover them next week, and we'll have all kinds of fun. Anything else, Nick?
That's it, man.
Cool.
Thank you for all of these great resumes. We will follow up.
Yes, we will. Sure. We'll look at the schedule, make sure we have a part 2 on there, and we'll revisit. So we'll see you guys next week for our 1-year anniversary. Yay! Bye,
guys. Have a great weekend.